All right. Hi. Hello and welcome to all of our new viewers, the old subscribers, and the newer subscribers. Welcome to our show. My name is Fernando Munoz Bernal. My channel is Fermove. And today I'm going to be talking with my co host from, of course, China, Mr. Ziv Glickman. Ziv, how are you today?
I'm good, Fernando. It's 9 p.m. and the week is starting tomorrow. So this is one last fun conversation for the weekend.
Yep. All right. We are going to be talking today about um, the two sessions in China. We were supposed to talk about today about our 1 year anniversary here in our channel, right? But
Right.
then we got invited by some special guests that I would like to bring in. Let me bring in Allison. Allison
Yeah,
from
hi.
iChongqing.
Hi guys,
um,
I'm from iChongqing, a Chongqing International Media Center. Today, I'm very happy to join you guys to talk about some hot topics of China's two sessions.
Hi, Alison.
Excellent.
Hi.
Um, we are currently live streaming to many platforms. So we are on
Yes.
our respective channels. So you can watch this on my channel, Fermove, on Ziv's channel, and also on, of course, China. At the same time, we are streaming to iChongqing YouTube channel. We are streaming to iChongqing Facebook page, I suppose,
Yes.
and our, of course, Facebook page. So we're all over the place. Okay, let's bring our next panelist to talk about, the two sessions. His name is Mr. Noel Lee. Noel Lee, how are you, sir?
Hey, good evening, Fernando, Ziff, and Allison. Thank you for having me on the show.
Mm-hmm. All
Good evening,
right.
Noel.
Okay, we are going to start talking a little bit about. We have different topics that we want to cover on this video. So, could you remind us some of those?
Yes. I think first we're doing this special live stream because of the current ongoing two sessions, right? Um,
Yep.
Me and Fernando, we just did a video for Guangdong Today channel about the two sessions where we asked foreigners on the street what they think about some of the hot topics. But let's start with explaining people that are watching what is these two sessions and why is it so important. Who would like to have a go at that?
Why don't we go to Allison?
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, the two sessions is a political meeting in China's annual calendar, and its short names means NPC and CPPCC. NPC stands for National People's Congress. It's China's top legislature, and the CPPCC is the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, which is the top advisory body. And usually, at the two sessions, the Chinese government will have its government work report and also set its goals for next year. But this, the year 2021 is special because this is the first year of China's 14th five-year plan. That's a very brief introduction about this year's two sessions.
All right.
Right. And
Um,
last year, the two sessions was postponed to May, I think, because of the pandemic.
Uh,
Right? Yeah.
Actually, because of the pandemic, there is a very good prevention and control measures. But this year, the government work report has been mentioned that China will target GDP growth of at least 6% this year as the country looks to shore up its economic fundamentals from the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, since the GDP growth of over 6%, it has attracted global attention. For example, there are many media outlets to talk about that. I found a news written by CNBC. It writes China's GDP growth in 2020 grew by 2.3%, which means that China is the only major economy to expand amid the coronavirus pandemic. It's very, very hard-won result of Chinese efforts. And also, official from China said it's a better than expected recovery.
Yeah,
Ziv, go.
I would like to add that I think if we look at the last quarter of 2020, the growth was something like 6.5% already in that one last quarter. So just just emphasizing what Alison just said.
Yeah. Noel, what do you know about the two sessions? What importance do you give to these two sessions?
Well, in regards to what Alison just mentioned about the 6% GDP growth, I would like to say that there's no doubt that in the dawn of 2020, many businesses were faced and forced to radically revamp its operations or even switching to another vocation altogether. Some were even faced out of forced out of relevance. With these sectors that dwindled down, others saw astonishing growth. Now, let me explain. Mainly, these sectors would be the internet services sector. The demand for Wi-Fi and data connection has never been greater. From big corporations reaching its customers to smaller enterprises relying on live streams such as this one and online videos to promote their goods and services. Platforms such as Bilibili, Douyin, and many more are on the rise, on their prominence, and hence are surely contributing to the economical revival in China, as well as online shopping. Yeah.
No,
You were saying?
I don't know if you finish. Please do.
Yeah, I was about to include the various sectors that are seeing growth and hence contributing to this projected 6% GDP growth. So, as I was saying, as well as online shopping, right, the sassy and sophisticated Chinese consumer relies on proven online shopping platforms such as Taobao, Jingdong, Meituan, and many more. Also, we have a high demand for satellite transmission services. There is definitely a vast group of Chinese consumers who are sports orientated, and the demand for satellite broadcasts of overseas sports leagues such as NBA and football also contributes to this demand and growth.
I wanted to comment very briefly on something that is very often misunderstood about China when it comes to the two sessions. If I may go back to this original introduction, a lot of people out there in the West, they think that because China has a one party system, they insist on saying that there's no democracy in China. And the way I feel is this is not so. Basically, what we're seeing with the two sessions is the culmination of a whole year of democracy taking place. Um, the two sessions basically are a consultative session and then a legislative session. During the consultation session, what they do is they bring proposals and ideas and 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 projects that they would like to push and put forward. And during the legislative, well, they pass laws and legislation to support those projects or to enable those projects to come to fruition. The interesting thing is that this actually takes place at a local place, at a local level. So it starts in the communities, in the villages, in the districts of each city around China. And then it goes to the municipal level, has more serious proposals, and then they're taken on to provincial level. And at the end of, well, a whole year of work, they end up as proposals that are being discussed in Beijing during the two sessions. So that's democracy at work. There's a very big difference between how the government operates and legislates here in China. They legislate as they listen to what people need, as they listen to what people want, and based on those, they create legislation. So I just wanted to put this out there, to let people know how democracy is different. Democracy doesn't is a one party system, yet it's a government for the people.
Fernando,
Different, yeah.
I think that yeah, you get a good point that the two sessions is an example of a regime that maybe is misunderstood in some way, as we always talk between ourselves. You know, it's really hard to understand from the outside. It's an example for trying to constantly improve the lives of the people that are living here. But I want to also go back to the GDP topic, and I see that some people in the comments write the what we just spoke about it before the live stream, the 8.251% growth. And someone was asking, how did you get the 251? I wanted to ask you guys what you think. I read somewhere that that the 6% target for 2021 is actually probably a bit lower than what it's probably going to be. And some people are saying maybe they're taking under consideration COVID may still appear again. What do you think about that?
Alison, what do you think?
Yes, but because China now is taking measures for the epidemic prevention and control, and also at the same time it make efforts on the economic growth. So in my opinion, the over 6% growth will not be easy for China to achieve this year, and but it really gives us confidence. Actually, in our iChongqing website, we have a journalist has published his article talking about the figures. Here's what he said, and I quote: "The figures of economic performance have added the certainty in global economic crisis affected by ravaging COVID-19 situation. That's in the global context, I think." And then he said, "The pace of economic progress has enabled the country to actively engage in helping to establish the rationality for overcoming the gaps in economic structures of developing countries, especially in the neighborhood." This is an article from a journalist with Independent News Pakistan, titled "With China Providing Much Needed Support to Global Economic System." So anyway, I don't think the COVID-19 is going to be ended very soon. It has already lasted for more than 1 year. So it's very important for China to have epidemic prevention and control, and meanwhile to make efforts on its economic and social development, and also China will make its contribution for global economic recovery.
I would actually like to ask the audience, anyone that's watching, you can write us in the comment. Let's take our predictions. Also the panel here. I would say, in my opinion, we can look at it again in the end of the year, right? I would say, in my opinion, if the pandemic is still under control as well as China has been doing in the past, I would say a year now, I think they will reach 7% if it's still under control. What do you think, Noel?
Well, Ziv, I'm actually personally confident that the target will be met and perhaps even exceeded. Because with COVID measures actually easing in China, with the rollout of the vaccination campaign. Again, we're talking about GDP for China itself, right? So, and I'm looking at Tesla's growth in China. It's actually projected that its valuation in China would be up to 1 trillion this year. So, with that said, coupled with what I mentioned earlier about the demand on the internet services, the online shopping, the satellite transmission among the top of the various demands in China, these would actually help to beef up and add the much needed bulk to the growth in China. That's my opinion.
Sorry
I
to
agree.
interrupt that.
Yep.
Actually, the GDP of 2020 has hit more than 100 trillion yuan in China. So that's a very big mark in China amid the coronavirus.
I think
Ziv,
another
I
interesting.
wanted to bring a comment. If you take a note
Yes.
of what you wanted to say, 1 second. I actually agree with this particular comment right here from Johan Bauer. He says it is better to underestimate and overperform. And from my experience here in China, and you probably
Yes.
agree with me, this is often so. They like to not overestimate what they want to accomplish and then surprise you in the end with something even better. But back to your comments, if
Yes, under promise over deliver, right? Yeah, I agree with
hmm
that is a good thing. No, I just wanted to also mention with the GDP topic that I also noticed because of 2020 and China in the end performing quite well, considering the pandemic. US actually did not grow at all in 2020, and the prediction for the US for China taking over the US to be the biggest economy in the world has changed from 2030. I think now 2028 or even 2026 in some predictions, because the gap has shrank more rapidly in this year.
all right, we are having a little bit of internet situation. I mean, I couldn't hear very well what Ziv was saying. Did you guys hear
Okay.
okay?
Oh yeah, got it. Got most
Oh,
of it.
okay.
Okay, I didn't. All right.
Okay.
Why don't we move to another very interesting point of these two sessions? The situation about Hong Kong. Yeah. One of the things that was discussed was the plan to improve Hong Kong's electoral system. This is something very close to us down here in Guangdong, Noel, Ziv, and myself. And I would like to know, well, what does the panel think about what is being said? So why don't we start with Alison? What does this entail, the improvement of Hong Kong's electoral system?
Actually, at the fourth session of the 13th National People's Congress, which opens in Beijing Friday, there is a draft on improving the region's electoral system. So, and the draft of the decision was submitted to the National People's Congress. As you know, the NPC is the highest organ of the state power, which means that it has the power and the responsibility to make the decision at the constitutional level to improve the electoral system of HKSAR. And also in China, we have one country, two systems, and the HKSAR has a high autonomy But in 2019, the rioting and the turbulence over the amendment bill that year revealed the danger of the loopholes in Hong Kong's electoral system and has left a bitter memory to the Hong Kong people. So this is the reason why China is considering to improve the region's electoral system. That's the background information.
Ziv, Noel, who would like to
Yeah.
comment?
Well,
Okay, Ziv can go ahead first.
you want to go first? Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ziv.
All right. Well, about this improving Hong Kong electoral system. I mean, I have to say, first of all, I was, of course, researching a bit, and this is there is, the automatic skepticism from the Western mainstream media, right? I think in MSNBC, the article quoted improving the Hong Kong electoral system. Improving was in quotation mark. I mean, so I think, I think that many of the comments of Hong Kong legislators, of Hong Kong top councillors, were very, very favorable of these new measures. This is just another step of what China has been doing for the last few years. This is still very much under the one country, two systems. Plugging the loopholes that and improving it year to year. I think, especially since what we've seen in the last couple of years there, I think there is a lot of improvements to be done. And I think, without seeing the very small details, I have to admit, this I don't think there is something to worry about too much.
Noel, what do you reckon? What is
Right.
your perspective? You live in
So-
Shenzhen, so close to Hong Kong.
Yes, you lived in Hong Kong before, right?
Yeah. So when something is supposed to be improved, obviously it's a good thing. It's a welcome thing, right? We're always improving. But I personally think that, regardless of improving its electoral system, the members of government in Hong Kong must first seriously prove to the Hong Kong people that they are individuals who possess the iron in them and having the empathy for the common Hong Konger. Now, like I said, I've been in Hong Kong since 2005, and my experience with the Hong Kong government has been that of a body that is not swift and decisive in terms of their governance. Now, taking the mainland's lead in leadership would be a good start to show the Hong Kong people what are the concrete plans to alleviate the low, and I mean really low, income groups from their present financial epidemic. Also, the standard of housing living, the affordability of such housing, the schemes of home ownership, and to allow the people of Hong Kong to regain that sense of belonging to a home that they deserve, instead of feeling of being pushed out of relevance.
I would add to what Noel just mentioned, which is coming from somebody who used to live in Hong Kong and has had a more close relationship to what it is like to live in Hong Kong through these two very tumultuous and problematic years. I would like to add the following. It is important to start weeding out some of those leaders that are not showing patriotism. When you have leaders that are condoning violence, for example, or openly promoting the independence of Hong Kong, you have to think it is one country, two systems, not two countries. It is one country. So when these legislators are going against that initial premise or the very fundamental premise of one country, two systems, something needs to be done. That's just my take.
Right.
Um,
You can
okay,
report.
Alison, maybe you have more comments about this. What is the talk here in the mainland about that?
In the mainland, actually, I have a friend from Hong Kong. He's a local Hong Konger, and actually, a few days ago, I talked with him about the situation in Hong Kong and also about the electoral system. He said that actually before the two sessions, he said that he thinks as a Hong Konger, the situation needs to be improved from the legal angle. According to my understanding, which means that he is actually 20 something. He's a young people in Hong Kong. Actually, his opinion stands for such a proper proportion of people at his age, because young people is the promising future for everywhere. So, and China is going to do more on the rule of law. So the improvement of the electoral system in Hong Kong is just the one aspect of that. According to my understanding, the improvement of the electoral system in Hong Kong, it will better serve the interests and the rights of the Hong Kongers and also provide more certainty and security to local people. That's my opinion.
Fernando,
I
maybe you bring on this comment by Haza.
Give me 1 second. Oh, Haza, where is he?
Hi, Haza.
Gone.
Thanks for
Okay.
watching.
Haza is
Yeah, I want to
really
say
pretty good
something.
friend of the channel.
Yeah, many young Hong Kong people who have established startups or studying in the Guangdong cities, right, Greater Bay Area, have fairly positive opinion regarding the mainland based on the people I've spoken to. I couldn't agree more. I've been speaking to these people for the last 5 years, and it seems that they are enjoying, the support they can get in doing business here in the Greater Bay Area. What do you think about that?
Look, I would like to bring another comment by John Brower. He says Hong Kong youth's problems are not due to lack of democracy. That's a very important thing. I think that Hong Kong's problems stem from a population that is very young, that has very little possibility to, as Noel was saying, um, grow, develop. For example, think about, can a Hong Kong youngster buy a house within his life with the prices of real estate? It's almost impossible. So these perspectives towards the future of young people are going to fuel a lot of the discomfort with government, and they're going to kind of like channel this anger or this frustration towards other aspects of government. The second thing that I would like to say, and this modification is not clear to me whether it was discussed, is the interference from foreign forces, from foreign interests, from foreign powers into Hong Kong's political arena. Um, it was clear. I mean, to me, that was very clear. I don't know what has been done or what steps have been taken during these two sessions to, well, curtail that kind of influence, that kind of negative influence on the young population of Hong Kong. Um, I would throw this question to the panel. What do you guys think, Noel?
All right, I think I'll just touch a little bit more about what you mentioned, and it brings to mind a few things for me. So, if I may, in Singapore, sometimes we also feel that the standard of living is a little bit high for some of us. And some of us actually choose to go across the border to Johor Bahru in Malaysia, where we can actually have accommodation, a residence, and then we can actually come back to Singapore as and when to perform our work. Now, couple this with the fact that in the States, young people, they go out to other cities to explore opportunities. That is the way of the young people. Now, can we bring this into Hong Kong and China, whereby the young people, the border is over there, pre-COVID, of course. The mainland is ever welcoming with opportunities, with a bigger space. Some even say a lower standard of expenses. Now, if these young people can actually go over, let's say Shenzhen or even Guangzhou or further, and explore and discover the opportunities that are readily available and abundant in China, and create this interaction, a more integration, right? Integration of the Hong Kong people with the mainland versus trying to just stay put in Hong Kong and develop in Hong Kong when we already know that based on space constraint, if you want to get a bigger house, cheaper house, there is just no physical way. So you have got to think out of the box. And in this case is think out of Hong Kong, but still within the boundaries of your own country. There are lots of opportunities. I was even the one case, right? I was living in Hong Kong before. I found that, for what I'm paying, I'm living in a shoebox. I just stepped over the border and I'm now living in a better environment, and it's just the proof is in the pudding. That's all I can say.
All right. I would like to mention the Ziv. Last comment about the Hong Kong electoral system, or should we move on to another one, Ziv?
Yeah, I think what Noel said. Noel is really a good person to comment about that. As he said, he lived in Hong Kong for more than a decade, and now across the border, being in Shenzhen for a couple of years. So I think we can end this topic, unless we have any comment from the people that we want to answer.
Okay, let's see. I have this comment from Hank Katsuri. They forget the forebears were like the subsequent mainlanders, sojourners from the mainland. Their family. How many people do we know here in Dongguan who came from Hong Kong, or how many people do we know in Hong Kong who came from Dongguan? The ties are so real, and they're not hundreds of years ago. It's just a generation, 2 generations back.
It's actually interesting because I was just talking to one of my former employees here, and I know the story from before. Her dad in the 60s, 70s tried to swim to Hong Kong, was caught 3 times and put in jail. I think today is going the other way around.
Okay, I'm going to bring another comment, Alison, that might be interesting to you. Hassa, who is watching, is commenting that another thing that has happened recently is that Shenzhen has been recruiting civil servants for some positions from the Hong Kong SAR. And some of the applications have some of the jobs have more than 600 applicants. What's your reaction to this, Alison?
I think it shows that the local government, in Shenzhen, they are welcome to, they welcome more Hong Kongers to work in the mainland and also work in Shenzhen, because I think this kind of exchange can promote people-to-people exchanges, and also Hong Kongers also have many experience to contribute their wisdom to local development, because no matter it's Hong Kong or Shenzhen, we are both Chinese. And I think whether it's in Hong Kong or in Shenzhen, it's all good for China's development, and to a large extent for global development, because Hong Kong and Shenzhen are neighbors, and also if people from Hong Kong would like to come to Shenzhen for future development, they can also have a bright future, and also the government can also promote the employment rate, which further improves the stability, because if the employment rate goes up, the stability will be much assured, in my opinion.
Right. Okay. Why don't we move on then to the next topic of discussion, which has a lot to
Fernando,
do with you, Allison. Yep.
just before we move on, we are quite in the middle now. I would like to mention to everybody, because we are streaming this live stream on so many different channels, right?
Yeah.
So if wherever you're watching, just would like to remind you, go to each of our channels and follow us. You have a Fermube if you are watching on iChongqing or another other channel. Of course, iChongqing, you can follow them, whether, again, on Facebook, on YouTube. My channel is Ziv Glickman on YouTube. You can find me. And Caliber Wings, Noel. So, just wanted to say at this point, give us some love and give us a follow, a subscribe on our channel before we continue.
Or all the links are in the descriptions of all the
Yes.
channels. So we've made it easy for you to follow us.
Right.
All right, guys, let us move on to the next topic, which is something that is very interesting because we know a little bit about the third one, don't we, Ziv? This is the Chengdu Chongqing as the fourth economic pole.
When we were just talking about it before, I think Fernando, you and me in Dongguan, and Noel in Shenzhen, we are very familiar with the Greater Bay Area project. But this is something interesting to learn about, especially when it comes up in these two sessions. So maybe, Alison, can you explain us more about this Chengdu Chongqing economic pole?
Yes, very honored to have a very brief introduction about the fourth economic pole. But before my introduction about the fourth one, I'd like to introduce a diamond in China's map. Just think about to connect 4 points in China. First one is in the north, that's Beijing, Tianjin, Hebei region. That's 1 point. And in the south, you have just mentioned the Guangzhou, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area. That's 2 points. And in the east, we have the Yangtze River economic belt, which also includes Shanghai municipality. That's a third one. And the fourth one, which we're going to talk about, is about the Chengdu Chongqing economic circle in southwestern China. And if you connect to 4 points, you can get a diamond. That's China's development plan. And also, the Chengdu Chongqing economic circle has been a national strategy last year, which means that the economic circle has developed for more than 1 year. And this January, it marks its first anniversary. Actually, in my opinion, the city clusters development means a coordinated development, regional development. So actually, I don't know whether you have aware that Chongqing used to be a part of Sichuan province, but later it has become a municipality. So I think it's to develop the economic circle is very good, because two cities can complement with each other, and we can have more exchanges and coordination. So that's a part of the national plan.
I always understood twinning of cities, as you mentioned,
Yes.
as international twinning. I was not very familiar with, well, domestic twinning. What are the differences, or what are the legal framework of doing something like this within the country? Is it
Just
going to
like,
be like, yeah, tell me?
yes, according to my understanding, First is going to find a growth pole in Western China because there is a national strategy of Western development.
Mm-hmm.
And the twin city of Chengdu and Chongqing is to find a new growth pole in Western China. I have a statistics that actually in 2019, Chongqing Chengdu area has an aggregate population of 120 million, and its GDP reached 7 trillion yuan. That's a figure in 2019, but which means that it has a great potential to grow, and the twin city can complement with each other and can have more collaborations. I also have a statistics from Chinese media reports that, averagely speaking, Chengdu and Chongqing shake hands with each other every 1.5 days, which means that at different levels and inter-departments, they have many cooperative items for regional development.
You mentioned something during the preparation about the 62-minute ride. Could you tell us a little bit about that? And maybe I can show a picture related to this.
Yes, there is a bullet train. You can show it to our audience. This bullet train operates between Chengdu and Chongqing. It's just one corporation of the economic circle. It's to facilitate transportation between the two cities. And later, this is about 62 minutes 62 minutes bullet train, and later after another transportation plan, there will be Fuxing speed train, which will be less than 40 minutes, will be much quicker than now.
Wow. Well, we know a lot about trains here in the south, right?
Yeah.
Noel, what's your experience with the development of of this type of transportation here in Guangdong?
For the train, you mean?
Yep.
Well, the trains are, I would say, very convenient. You know, I can get from Shenzhen to where you are in under maybe about 2 hours, right? So you know, but the train itself is less than an hour. So I think you know the mass rapid transit system is definitely something that links large vast of land, and it's just something that is a testament of where China is right now in terms of its infrastructure.
Ziv, do you remember which are the other three economic poles here in China? Because this is the
Yeah,
fourth.
I think it's like north, south, east, west, kind of, right?
Started
You
with
got
Beijing,
the
Tianjin.
Beijing, Tianjin. You got the South Greater Bay Area. You got Shanghai, and then Chongqing, Chengdu now. But what I want to say, my comment about this is, when I came to China 18 years ago, and the first few years, my feeling was always that Chinese cities are so competitive against each other, right? It's like everybody want to be the best, and it's almost like a competition. Who's the best son of Beijing? Who can get the best GDP? Who can get the best development? Livable cities. You have experience in this, Fernando, too, helping Dongguan win some competitions. And it was always feeling like this. And I think in the past few years, what we see, which is very smart, is like, I think also Haza right here, they come together. Why not cooperate where it makes sense for so many reasons? And, the more the merrier, get stronger together, get the advantages of each city, whatever they can bring to the table. and get much more power and help the country. So basically, unity is getting more stronger. And this is just another, you said what's the first 3 poles? This is the 4th pole. I actually want to know what's next.
Hmm.
Let's
What's
wait and
next for
see.
China?
But in my opinion, you have mentioned the competition, and I have another say to offer. That's coordination. There is competition, I have to say, before. So that's why we have coordinated regional development plan. That's to from top level design to promote the coordination.
I would like to bring a comment here that I find very, very important. Again, Johan Brower, thank you. He's a very good friend of the channel, all our channels. He says, when you develop transportation, train transportation like this, it makes any city or town within 100 kilometers basically a suburb of the big city. That's a very true thing. Um, I mean, thinking about the 2 sessions and how these 5-year plans take place here in China. I've been here 20 years. Siv, you've been here 17 years. Is that right?
Yeah, close to
It,
18.
u- it used to take us at least 3 hours to go to Hong Kong, for example. And then
Right.
it went down to 2 hours, and it went down to an hour and a half. Now it is actually possible to get to Hong Kong from my home within 45 minutes. I just take the
And
subway to Humen, take the high speed train to Hong Kong, and I'm in Kowloon Tong
I
or
think the
East Tsim
high-speed
Sha Tsui
train
in
from
45 minutes.
Humen to Hong Kong will be maybe 45 minutes, right? That's what you're
Yes.
saying.
Well, the train is 30 minutes and 50 minutes by subway. It's 45 minutes. So I think that transportation is a very important part of developing these economic poles, because it brings resources together, it brings people together. As Hassa was saying, the pool of resources, it's easier to grab to tap
In
into.
in infrastructure
Hmm.
is a key for every and any great economy in the history. And now the technological advancement of trains, I think China is doing a fantastic job. There is no doubt about that.
Okay. Noel, do you have any comments related to this, or should we maybe go back
Yeah, just
to
one
some
last
of the
statement. I think all these polls are basically, in my understanding, is prototyping to the future, and the future is now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I think that the future of China runs through the West. It's very, very important. Okay, Alison, would you like us to move to another topic, or do you have anything more to say about this?
I think I can move to the next topic.
This one I find very, very interesting. This is the Yangtze River Protection Law. This is the first law written to protect a river as a national level. Am I correct?
Yes.
It's what I read, at least, and I find that fascinating because, well, we here in the south in Guangdong, we have actually seen um, all this legislation and all these efforts to improve the environment actually take place. Ziv, what's your experience seeing the environment change here in Guangdong, in Dongguan? Um, and what it's in response to what kind of measures, man?
I think, I mean, there is a vast improvement on the environment, right? Again, being here for so many years, almost 2 decades, me and you, we've been witnessing so many improvements, like pollution. The sky has become much bluer, I think, in many places in China. And EVs, right? We see a lot of that. And I think we see more of that. We feel that if we look around, we feel that more than I feel it in other countries, in my home countries too. So I think in terms of the speed of changing and making new laws and taking measures for the environment, China still has a long way, but the speed is that it's changing. It's good. What I want to say about the Yangtze River is it's kind of it's an interesting river, right? I mean, for anyone watching it doesn't know, it's a third longest river in the world, and it's the only one in the top 10 that is only in one. The whole river is inside one country.
Mhm.
Yes.
You know, I found that very interesting. So I mean, no surprise, they should protect it, right?
Sure. I would like to ask Alison, what are some of the things that the government at the local level have done to protect it in Chongqing? Basically, well, Chongqing is in the west of China, and that's basically where the river originates. And if it's not taken care at the source, then downstream it's pretty bad, right? So, could you tell us some of the things that have been done in Chongqing?
Oh, okay. First, geographically speaking, Chongqing is at the upper reaches of the Yangtze River, and in China, we call the river as the mother river. This is a photo of the three gorges. It's very beautiful. And in Chongqing, just like many other places, some local governments have make the chemical enterprises relocated, transformed, or suspended along the Yangtze River because it's for better environment. You know, especially the chemical enterprises, it will have pollution. If we pollute the river, it will be irreversible. So for the sake of the future generations, Chongqing is taking action now, and this is one part of the action to relocate enterprises or something like that. And also, just like my colleague has reported in some districts and counties of Chongqing, you know, China is going to achieve modernization, and this year, China has eradicated in absolute poverty, and so is Chongqing. And during my colleague's report, here are some green efforts in poverty alleviation. I have to say, for example, there are some rural tourism to increase income and also at the same time to protect the environment. Actually, from the national level, you have mentioned the Yangtze River Protection Law. So that's a very important move for China to protect our mother river better and better.
Noel, do you have any insight or any comments related to this particular aspect?
Well, before I talk about the river itself, you know, my personal experience with my work, where it involves factories doing painting, spray painting, so it's paints involved. So it's getting harder and harder for such activities to be done within the Shenzhen area, right? So the government are very strict on such kind of pollution, and it's basically quite impossible for factories within this Shenzhen area to carry on such activities. So as such, you know, there's been lots of penalties imposed where factories breach this kind of pollution control, and you know, most of all these activities actually moved further north. Now that would then be near to this river, right? So I think the fact that these activities activities still need to be carried on, but I guess now they have to do it with a more expensive method, maybe more time consuming, more law abiding. So these are causing, I guess, inconvenience to these industries. But I have to bring to mind again what Bill Gates has been advocating all this while about trying to tackle climate change. And the Yangtze River being part of the environment and ecosystem of China, spanning some 6,300 kilometers, is surely part of the conversation. Now, China's efforts to protect the river is surely a welcome move, seeing that it is also teaching its Chinese people about reducing waste, about recycling, and so on and so forth, right? Especially true with all these new environmentally friendly automobiles. So you've
Mm.
changed away from diesel to battery operated, and so I guess the government is playing this pivotal role to help eradicate further damage to the river before things reach a catastrophic ramification that can be reversed. And again, as Bill Gates stressed, that governments must lead the way with such activities and environmental protection. And it's evident from this that China's government is leading the way and being guided by science.
Ziv, we have seen a lot of changes here, and particularly industries have changed. What can you comment? Can you tell our audiences about what we have seen in terms of industrial changes here in the city, in terms of improving the environment?
Yeah, I think first of all, China being such a huge manufacturing country, you can imagine how difficult it is to improve some of the pollution issues. Kind of like what Noel said, he works with factories, he sees these issues. I think he even said that moving the factories a bit north actually caused problems there,
Yeah.
right? Taking them away from here and putting them in other problems, and they need to protect those areas as well. I believe that's what you said, Noel, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we really seen these factories closing, either improving or closing down, or moving right to other places. And they really enforce this. This is not just laws and without enforcement, because we see the city has changed here in Dongguan, for example. Moving to more service-based, high-tech based. Of course, it doesn't happen in one day. This is impossible to happen in one day. But over the course of a decade, it's been improving a lot in these terms. Also, I believe that in some places in China, there are rules for how many cars can be on the road, right? Some places have like a odd day, even day in terms of license plate numbers. Do you know about that? So they control how many cars would be out on each given day. Also to alleviate pollution from emissions. So yeah, we've seen many we've seen it in many places,
It's one
but there's
of
still a long way.
it's one of those things that a lot of people fail to see about government here in China, is that they say they're going to do something and they do it. It's not just words. There's a big difference in the kind that they legislate here. So when they said, "Oh, these factories they need to close down, they need to move out. You have certain amount of years to move to another place," and it takes place. Like Dongguan used to produce 50% of the world's shoes. Think about that. One in every two pairs of shoes made in the world was actually made in Dongguan. That's insane. And little by little, all these industries, all these factories, they have been moved out because where they were very polluting. They're moving certain brands and certain quality of shoes to other countries and even other provinces. But it is all done to improve well, the environment of Dongguan. So I have no doubt that the fact that Xi Jinping has actually visited the Yangtze River and has actually made it a very primary focus for the whole nation to protect the river, it's going to be heard. It's going to happen. It's going to take place. That's my
Alison, Alison, what about the pollution, the general pollution that people can feel daily life in Chongqing?
You mean pollution?
Yeah, how is that? Has that improved, and how do you feel about that in that area?
Actually, it's because of the relocation of chemical enterprises. First, the air is more fresher, and the water is better. So I think many people, especially people living along the Yangtze River, are happy about that because they will get a better environment, and also they're happy to see that their sons and daughters will live a better environment.
Right.
Okay, I have to bring here a very special comment for me. This man here, Mario Munoz, is actually my brother. He is actually a water treatment specialist. He has done consultancy work for multiple international companies and countries and nations and whatnot. He's saying the water is critical resource for development. Without clean water, um, you don't have development. And one of the interesting things that I wanted to put to the panel was there are a lot of critics out there saying that China is going to run out of clean water, drinking water. Um, what do we know about this, Allison or any other guys?
Well, over here in Shenzhen, I see a very big reservoir, and I don't have the facts, but I guess if there's a reservoir in Shenzhen here, there's reservoirs set up all over the places, and you know, I think the government has a pretty good handle on making sure that water is being controlled. There's also, I guess, lots of campaigns. They are doing cartoons in televisions, being shown in restaurants, to conserve water, to all the right things. It's basically teaching people, not to waste. Yeah.
I'll bring another one here again because this is something that I actually have something to talk about. Back in 2006, pollution is a major hazard for sanitation purposes. One of the legislation that was passed here in Dongguan was to actually the factories were mandated to clean the water before they actually discharge it onto the river.
Yes.
And there was no two ways around it. You do it, or you're fined and you're closed down. I wanted to ask Alison a question related to kind of like tangential question related to the environment. Chongqing is very mountainous.
Yes.
So, for example, here in Dongguan, a lot of people move around by bicycle, right?
Yes.
How important is transportation in terms of protecting the environment in a city that has so many mountains?
Yes, that's very tricky problem in Chongqing because of the landscape. It's mountains. It's hard to ride bicycles. So this is why Chongqing develops a lot of its public transportation. Many days ago, because of the coming of the spring, there is a train called the spring train, which has been surrounded by many flowers in blossom. And you can, if you visit Chongqing, you can say the Chongqing, the city is very special because of its 3D transportation system. We have monorails, we have buses, we have subways. We can promote the public transportation to get the environment better, because it's really hard for people to ride all the way because there are so many slopes. it's very, very hard and it's energy taking. So the city government is working on the infrastructure to do better for the environment and also to readjust its industrial structure to transform the industry to be more smarter, to be more intelligent, so the environment can be better in these ways.
Ziv, or Noel, any comments, or should we move on to? Well, we were scheduled for an hour. We're already an hour and 5 minutes. So, do you have any thoughts about
I
this,
think
or?
public transportation. Well, we spoke about that. The trains. I mean, the same way they go intercity between cities. Also within the cities, it's been developed. I mean, we know here in Guangdong, it's crazy, right? The transportation, the connection between the cities, that's going to really improve more and more and really connect to different cities, making it a big area that's easy to get to anywhere. I'm sure that Chongqing, like Ellison just said, is improving in that direction. I think, I think we forget, Fernando. We forget. We've been here for so long. We forget how it is back home. I mean, I think and especially now, right? The pandemic, we haven't been back for a while. But in terms of public transport, especially trains, share bikes, all of these things, it's a different world here.
Mm-hmm. Noel, any thoughts on environment?
Well, that's all from me. I would definitely want to visit Chongqing and see that 4D transportation system maybe this year.
I have to say one thing. Big plug to a very big channel, Reportify Media. Alex, he has the most amazing footage of Chongqing.
It's pretty good.
It's just
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. I told him he should sell that to some of those stock companies because wow, it's just breathtaking. All right,
Fernando. Before you wrap up the show, I think we're ready, right? We covered the 4 topics for today. That's what we planned.
Yeah.
It's already 1 hour and 7 minutes at the moment. Just again, want to say to everybody, I mean, if you don't know, if you're watching on iChongqing and you don't know, of course, China, me and Fernando, we have a podcast on YouTube. And again, all our links to our channels, Fernando, me, of course, China, Noel, Caliber Wings, iChongqing. Ellison, you did a great job, by the way. Thank you for letting us know of all of this information. Really, you're, like I said before we started, you're the most knowledgeable one regarding these topics.
Mm-hmm. Noel?
Yeah, nothing from me.
All right. I just wanted to mention, guys, that we have a few very interesting videos coming up in, of course, China. The most important is the live stream that we're going to do next week. We had a schedule for this week. We're going to celebrate our first anniversary, right?
Congratulations.
And 1,000 subscribers. Yay. We have some very interesting podcasts and interviews that we've done. What's coming next is a man that makes trucks here in China.
We still have the AI
truck
guy and then trucks, right?
Oh yes, sorry, we've been working so hard. We have somebody working on AI, and this is an interesting one that you want to watch because AI is something that scares a lot of people. So you might want to subscribe to, of course, China.
And if I might add, also right after that, we have Daniel Dumbrell.
Oh yes, Daniel Dumbrell. Mm-hmm.
Right.
DB. All right, Alison, would you like to leave us with some notes before we wrap up the show?
Thanks for having me, and it's a very happy hour to share the hot topics during the China 2 sessions. And thanks for everyone's attention.
All right. Well, guys, I want to finish with one final thought before we wrap it up. A lot of people say that 2 sessions is just a rubber stamp from Beijing. I'll tell you the following. You will be seeing on social media how I was actually invited to ask questions to the 2 sessions meetings in the Guangdong government, they listen to everybody. So don't let anybody tell you that there's no democracy. They listen to people. It's a government that is for the people. All right, guys. Well, with that being all, and if there are no questions on the comments, do you see anything?
Yeah, I was looking at the comments. Everybody say thank you, guys. Awesome discussion. Thank you, Joanne, for being for participating, and thank you, Haza, for all your comments, and anyone
Okay.
else that has been watching us.
Walkabout Rojo was also popping in saying that it was a great show. All right, guys.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Remember, if you like this video, make sure to give it a like and share it with as many people as you want, because the more people know about this, the better world we will live in. And well, until we see you again, that's it for today. Thank you so much, and
See you.
bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.